It's playoff time in 2A Division II. Hello, everybody. Terry Bennett here on the Muenster Football Show, the playoff edition, right here on S2S Sports, part of L4 Media, as Muenster takes on Hamlin tonight. This is a Thursday night recording. Probably will try to move to Wednesday with the Thursday schedules that most of these 2As will do, but we've got plenty of time. It's 8 in the morning when I'm recording this, so it'll be out. You'll be able to listen to it, and it's a great way to start the playoffs. This is going to be a fun game against the Hamlin team that, a few years ago, Muenster beat, when Hamlin was number one and they were in a state championship game and they had like a good 5-6 year run. And then, man, in 2021, it cratered. They go to 0-10. They bring in a new coach, 5-5 back-to-back seasons. This year, 6-3 with last week's game being canceled because of the field against Albany. And this is a veteran team. This is like, I think 17 to basically 20 starters are back. And this is an old team, kind of like how Muenster is, even though Muenster's still a year younger. Muenster gets a bunch of juniors this year with some seniors. With Hamlin, it's almost all seniors. So, round ones of the playoffs, weird things happen. I'm not saying there's an upset, but this is one of those games I think that, if Muenster doesn't come out and play clean, it could get scary later on. All right, we're going to do what we always do, and that's talk to the head coach of the Muenster Hornets, Coach Brady Carney, right here on the Brady Carney Muenster Football Show. Here at L4 Media, we talk high school football, 4A, 3A, and 2A in Texas. We talk East Texas sports. We talk NFL, guy talk, movie and booze. We also talk wrestling and so much more. And you can see it all on our YouTube channel at L4 Media Company. Like and subscribe. Terry Bennett back here on the Muenster Football Show. Now joined by the head coach of the Hornets, Coach Brady Carney. And Coach, first off, congratulations, a district championship, a great regular season. Just before we get into the playoffs, give me your kind of thoughts on how this season went.
Man, I felt like, I'll be honest with you, I don't feel like we have played our best complete game yet. I really don't. I just haven't seen it. And I'm not trying to be, our kids feel the same way. We've put halves together and quarters and so forth. But as far as 4 straight quarters of football, I don't feel like we've done that yet. But yet we've still had success against really good teams. So that's the positive part about it. I feel like we can put those 4 quarters together. We're a pretty hard out for anybody. So yeah, I think that's the main thing. I've seen progress throughout the year. I felt really good early on when we could move the ball against Partsburg Holiday, and we've continued to do that against Collinsville and Lindsay and those guys. And then, we've shown that we're pretty good against the run consistently all year. So we've done some good things. I feel like we've gotten better in the back end. I still don't feel like we've peaked and where we need to be yet. But hopefully we can show that tonight and start getting better. Maybe put a complete game together tonight and kind of hit our stride a little bit going forward in the playoffs.
Is there anything that has evolved in a good way that has surprised you? Is there one part of maybe a position group or something that you thought maybe y'all would struggle a little bit more on than y'all have this year?
I'd say the biggest surprise is probably our O-line and being able to run the football. When we attach Garrett Hess and Caden Clement as our tight end and wing and Zach Smith at tackle and now Carter Clement was Rhett Waltershaw, but he's had an injury, and Kyle Liddell at center, and then Payson Wiley and Tate Sampson at the guard, and Landon Hawker. I wasn't for sure because that's still not a 230-pound line. That's probably a 180-pound average, 190-pound average line. Being able to run the football like we have been able to with consistency against the bigger fronts. I think that's probably the most surprising part to us as a team this year, just how we're able to continue to run the ball against teams that are way bigger than we are up front on the D-line. So I think overall the O-line would have to be the part that's kind of surprised me the most this year.
All right, well, it begins tonight for you, the third season. You take on Hamlin, 6-3, Jacksboro's Tiger Stadium. The Pied Pipers, they're one of those teams that, when they look good, and when they've played better teams, they've tended to lose.
Yeah, I feel like you said, they played a really the films I got, like Miles and Roscoe and those guys. Miles is a good football team, and they do some things to put you in a bind. But I didn't think Hamlin played great against them. Roscoe, I thought they played decent and pretty good at times. So like you said, I think the biggest things may be probably like us, a little inconsistent at times, but I do think they've got some skilled kids that can put you in a bind. They do a lot of stuff on defense, and it just, as a quarterback, Cason's had a hard time all week with how they cover things on third and long and fourth down situations, passing situations. They'll have anywhere from 6 or 7 guys, it seems like, to defend the pass. So they're not getting much of a pass rush, but it makes it difficult on a quarterback to really understand his reads. And from an offensive perspective, they're gonna try to run the ball first. I think if we can get them to put the ball in the air, that benefits us.
There are a group of kids that, I think they returned like almost 20 starters from the last couple of years. And, you remember, 5 years ago, they were a state, contender, and then they had an 0-10 team, back-to-back years of 5-5. And that's this group right here. And we've talked about this before, when you face a group that are just excited to be in the playoffs and feeling like they're reestablishing their legacy, that's always a scary game.
And like you said, they've played 2 years of varsity football. They had to play as freshmen and sophomores, and they got their tails whipped. But with that, I think they've gotten better from it. And like you said, they go from 0-10, 5-5 to 6-3, and you can steadily see those kids getting better. But yeah, that's always a scary situation, man, where you've got a group that's been tested a few years on Friday nights, and then they're hungry to be back in the playoffs for the first time in a couple of years. And playing Muenster, and we beat their number 1 team a couple years ago. Yep. So you and I both know those Hamlin Pied Pipers will be fired up tonight to get a piece of us.
Do you have a kid that plays sports? Are you yourself a weekend warrior? Then I'm going to tell you something. Check out NeuroGuardPlus.com. That's NEURO guardplus.com. It's a mouthpiece that can not only help with concussions, but can dramatically affect the way you perform. And the mission of NeuroGuard is to, of course, reduce the risk of suffering a concussion when participating in any contact sport, military, anything that you're doing physical that you could take a blow to the head. You might want to put in a NeuroGuard mouth guard. And as I said, it not only helps eliminate concussions, it helps you perform better by simply aligning your jaw properly. And that sounds like such a simple thing, but it is so important because it allows oxygen to get to your brain. And when you get oxygen to the brain, you don't have that fog of sports or that fog of war where you get confused. And if you've ever played football, that's a sport where that can happen. Especially, man, you're in there in the trenches and you take a shot to the side and all of a sudden things are spinning. This mouth guard will help you keep focus by, again, simply keeping oxygen going to your brain 100%. Again, check them out, NeuroGuardPlus.com. And if you play sports, if you have a kid that plays sport, if you do something physical, one of the things that Dr. Hutchinson, the creator of this, was talking about was some people will use it when they're doing yard work and when they're mowing and things like that, where they're being physically active because they know it helps align their jaw and it keeps oxygen going to the brain, which also helps your lungs, by the way, when you can have full breath every time as you're performing. So again, check them out, NeuroGuardPlus.com.
Hi, I'm Josh Bell with the Miami Marlins. I wear NeuroGuard to help with strength and coordination when I'm in the weight room and help with balance when I'm on the baseball.
As always, we want to thank the head coach of the Hornets, Coach Brady Carney, for joining us. Thursday night tonight, Jacksboro, the playoffs begin. You look at that bracket for Muenster, and Coach and I were kind of talking about it before we started recording. And he feels that, even as district champ, this bottom half of the bracket is as tough as the top half of the bracket. Of course, in the top half, you've got Wellington and, of course, Collinsville and Windthorst and Miles. And on the bottom half, you've got Albany, of course, looming there large. He was impressed with Wheeler and Electra. He felt that, the winner of that game is going to be a tough one in round 2. So this is going to be a fun playoff run, and I do think it's going to be a pretty good long playoff run. Speaking of, we could use some playoff sponsors. So if you'd like to sponsor this coach's show for the rest of the playoffs, please let me know, Terry at s2ssport.com, or you can also text me 469-605-3658. Now, I'll start saying this every week, even though I don't think it's going to happen at all. I'm not 0% concerned. But if the season ends, we will do a final coaches show the week of the state championship game to kind of recap the season and just all that kind of fun stuff. But if they win as expected, we'll just keep rocking and rolling, and we'll have a show next week. So let's just mark that down in the calendar. Let's meet right here next week on the Muenster Football Show on S2S Sports, part of L4 Media.